Hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Irfan Daniel bin Bada from class CS1104C, and I will show you my web development about online borrowing system. So let's go. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I will show you the video of web system that is book borrowing system. This is my user interface, that is user page login. So I will show you how the staff log in into the system. So first, the staff must click the button of staff. So it will go to the next page, that is staff login. In this part, the staff must insert their staff ID. So the staff ID is 1111 and their password is 4545. So click login. So it takes time. Okay, and the staff can log in and success log in into the system. At this part, the staff does not have to register because the developer will give the staff ID and the password to the staff. In this situation, how the login process is happen when the staff click the button login, it will send the staff ID and password, and the SQL statement will select all from staff where the staff ID that the staff insert is 1111 and password 4545. So in this process, it will the SQL statement will search if the staff ID and password is same in the database. So if the staff ID and password have in database, so next process, it will go to the header location, that is task dashboard.php. So the login system was successful. For the next process is adding the book. So for adding the book, after the login process is successful, so the staff must click to the book collection. At the book collection, they have book section description. So each book section always represent the genre and the category of book as below. So this is the section books that has been given. So for adding books, the staff must click to the add book. So it will go to the next page, that is add new book form. So for example, I will insert the book ID, enter the publisher name, for example Pylon Publishing, and author name Matthew Walker, and year 2018, and the title of the book is, for example, How Accounting Works, for example, and the category is accounting, and the book section is A. So after finish insert all the information, so we will click the button submit, and it will go to the next dash. His insert new book is successful. So I click OK. How do we know that the insert process is success or not? So I will show you the process of the adding book. So when we click button submit, we will post and send the book ID, publisher name, author name, year, title, category, book section name, and the status. Also for the status, the staff doesn't have to insert because when we add the book, the status is available. So the SQL statement is insert into the book table books that have in the database. So it will insert the book ID, publisher name, author name, year, title, category, book section name, and the status. So it will display the output that say that insert new book is successful. So how do we know that the book was insert? I will go to the database and I will find the book ID that I insert, 301. So we found it, and they have all the information about the books. So the insert process was successful. For the next step of the stuff is display the books and the status. After we insert the book, the staff can display the books and the status. So at this section, the staff must click to the book collection. So it will go to the list of books that available. So at this situation, the staff can see all the information about the book ID and the status. So we can see that they have book ID and all the books that be insert in the system. So their status available or not. So the process is success. How do we want to display all the books that have in the staff insert and that the system have and the record? Okay, first the process is we must select all the information about the book from the table book. So the SQL statement is the select all from book. So at this situation, we can just output the book ID, publisher name, author name, title, category, book section name, and the status. So it will display all the books that have in the system. For next part, I will show you the search process, and when we search that, we can display the books that we want. For example, I will go to the search. I will click, for example, I will search the title or the category. For example, I will use title. For example, I will search Thai woman. For example, I will click enter. So it will show the book that have the title woman. So it will display all the title that we search, for example woman, and now the search will found just have one. Second, for example, I will search for A. So it will show you all the title that have A. For example, accounting organization, bookkeeping, and accounting. So means that the search process is success. How do we know that the process of the search is success or not? Okay, I will show you the process. Okay, when I click the button search, so they will send the search that we want to know. So it will go to the SQL statement. They will select all the book from the table book where the author name like that we post, or title, or year, or category. So it will execute the SQL statement and will show the search function or the search that we want. For the next process, I will show you the edit or update the status and delete the books. So for the staff have authority or privilege to update and delete the books that he wants. For example, I will show you the edit process. For example, I want to edit the status of this book. I will click to edit. So it will show the information about the book. So I will click to the status and click unavailable and submit. So it will show you and display the update was successful. So we can know the status of the book is unavailable. How do we know that the process update was success or not? Okay, for example, for the process, I will show you when we click the button update, we will send the book ID and the status. So the SQL statement will update the book status equals to what I insert, and the book ID is 103. So it will update the book ID state the book that the status is unavailable or not. And at the database, the books that we insert, for example 103 that I use, is that the status is unavailable. So the update process is successful. So for the next process for staff is edit the loan status and delete the loan the student that loan the book. So for the next step, okay, the staff must click to view. So click to the book loan info. So it will display the student that loan the book. For example, on the list of the book loan, we have one, that is student ID 27 and the student ID is 2019260422. So he loan book, that book ID is 012 and the status is successful. So we can edit or update either the student status of one that loan the book is status is pending or successful. For example, I will click the pending and I will submit. So the update was successful. So the status was pending, and we can adjust it, and we click back the edit. So click the status. So successful, submit. So the status of the student that loan book is successful. How do we know that the status or update for the loan information is success or not? I will show you the process. Okay, when we click the button submit or request, it will send the loan ID, borrow date, return date, and status. So when we click that, so the SQL statement will update the book loan that borrow date is and return date, status loan, where the loan ID is 102, for example. So it will update, and we can see at the database the status loan of the student that loan the book is successful. So means that the process of the update was success. He can delete the loan information about the student. For example, at the same place, click view, go to the book loan info. So when the student have returned the books on time, so the staff can delete the book. For example, it can just click the button delete and display, do you want to delete? So click the button OK, and his will display the delete is success. So we can see that the information about the student that loaned the book is delete. How do we know that the delete process is success or not? To delete the book loan information that student loan the books. So I will show you the process. So when we click the button delete, so it will send the book ID. So the SQL statement for the delete is delete from book loan, where the book ID, for example, 103. So it will delete the info of the student in the database. So as we can see, the book loan about the student that loan the book is empty. So means that the delete process is success. For the last process is view student information. So only the staff have a privilege to view all the students that have created the account into the book borrowing system. So first, the staff must click to view and go to the student information. So the student can view or display all the student ID, name, program code, program phone number, and the gender about the all students that have create the account into the system. How do we know that the process of student information is happen? So I will show you the process. So when we click to the student information, we will select all from the student and display at the staff dashboard. So we can see the student ID, name, program code, program, phone number, and gender. But in the database, the student information has password, but I don't display the password because it is very confidential. So at the staff dashboard, I just display the student ID, name, program code, program phone number, and gender. So that's all for the staff process.
So before we proceed to the information system of student, I'm going to show you and explain a little bit about student ability and the process that only student can do. This is the data flow diagram. When you went to the system and want to register yourself, you will have to pass the student details, which is student ID, your first name, last name, program code, password, and your gender. Once passed, they will send the student detail into the student database. Next is the student login. This is where you will send the student your student ID and your password into the student database, and will be checked either if it already existed or if there is none, they will create a new SQL for the student. Next is learn book. You will have to pass the learn book information, which include book ID, borrow date, and return date. Then we pass the book learn information into the book learn system, book learn table. Next is view book learn and status. Here where student can see their status learn, either the library staff proceed with it or not. So let's move on to the information system. So now continue with the user based login for student. So now you're gonna see the login process for student. So back to main page, you see two buttons. Choose student button, and you will see the student login form. On this form, on this first text box, you have to fill in the student ID. Next is your password, and just push the button login. So I'm gonna create a new account for this student. Just fill in the text box in the student registration form. Student ID, next is your first name, and your last name, and your program code name, CS1104, computer science for program, phone number, just gonna put a random number, your gender, and then your password. You must remember your password. Makes a complex one so that no one could break into your system. Confirm password, make sure it's the same, and just click register. And you will see the pop-up saying your registration is success. Otherwise, it will say the student ID already in the database. So log in with the previous student ID we just made, fill in your password, log in. So you can see your dashboard here, your name, Shukri Haris, student. This is your menu on the left side. There's only three menus, main menu here: dashboard, book collection, and loan status. So in this dashboard, you will see the book collections, which consists of their book ID, their publisher name, author, title, category, book section in the bookshelf of library, and the status of this book. Move on to the next menu, book collection. Here is where you can request the loan for the book you want. So if the status is unavailable, that means there is another student that borrowed the book. So make sure you loan the book that are available for the meantime. So here is the loan request form. Okay, you must remember that all students must fill in 3 days forward date from your current day. This is due to the system that takes at least 3 days to process your loan. For example, today is the 25th July. Just add 3 days on your current date, which is 28. And then fill in your return date. And click request. Okay, you will see the pop-up say that your borrowing is success. So that you will be bring to the loan status interface. Here is your loan status, current loan status, where you can see the loan ID, borrow date, return date, book ID, student, your student ID, and the status of your loan. So your loan will be checked and marked by the admin or library staff. If they already approve your loan request, so the status will change into successful. So once you have registered your student ID, they will show up in the database. Here is your database table of the student I just made. Shukri Haris name. If you already registered the student ID, they will check here. They will check the student ID is already existed in the database or not.